Hello, my friends.
Hey,
Thanks for joining me today. And Justin, thank you for hopping on my humble show. So, for those of you who aren't familiar, this is Jay's creative series, Filipino Hustle Fridays. I'm really passionate about this topic, even though I've been inviting people left and right. So, I know how it is. Filipinos hustle, and we are very busy. We do multiple things, including my guest, Justin. Thanks for joining today.
yeah, thank you for having me. Super humbled to be invited.
Aw, thank you. I briefly want to mention just a little bit about you, and then, of course, you can talk more because everyone introduces themselves better. So, Justin Foronda, I even watched a video on your Instagram. You have like two middle names or something. Is it just, I like, what is it?
uh, it's Justin Edward Perdon Ferranda is my
Yeah. I
actual,
like how you're
yeah,
like Justin Edward Foronda.
yeah.
Um, And so you own HiFi Kitchen, but you also have like you're still working in the medical field, right?
hmm
Yeah. So that's pretty fascinating. You're doing both, and you live in LA, and California in general is not the easiest place to live and sustain a normal living, and having to juggle multiple jobs and a life is a huge hustle, in my humble opinion. So I'm really excited to talk about your story. So tell me a little bit about your journey from being in the medical field and then diving into the restaurant world.
Yeah, I mean, just like you, doing multiple things all the time, right? Pretty much very similar. In terms of the transition um, from, being a full-time nurse into the restaurant, um, I had always been like a creative kid. Um, I grew up as a break dancer and stuff like that, and just playing music. And so um, after like 5 years in the hospital, full time nurse, I had to I kind of like hit a ceiling, hit a wall as to like how much further I could go in my department. And so I was kind of hit with a fork in the road, um, trying to decide like, all right, well, I could either go back to school and further my nursing career, or I can do something just like totally different, something creative. And at that point, I had stopped dancing and stopped playing music, and so like I was really just like like yearning for something like creative, and food had kind of always been there, kind of always been like an interest for me. And so I decided to just like explore that.
That's pretty awesome. So being creative is the actual original motivation, and food is that outlet. Food's not the easiest way to to do to express your creativity, but I really do believe chefs are creative. You have to be creative. You have to be smart on your feet, and so it's funny because I love how I'm landing some amazing chefs to feature, and so okay, what was it like when you decided to take that leap? Did you kind of start small? Did you always like cooking when you were younger? When did it all start for you, and who inspired you?
Um, I did start small. Yeah, so I guess my food interest in food journey could be traced back to just being a little kid. I remember like frozen TV dinners, um, and like I would like cut out like the different like compartments, because it would come with like a Salisbury steak and corn, and then like a brownie. And, like, it didn't make sense to me that they all cooked at the same time. Like, and I I didn't really like that, like, concept either. Like, I want my brownie hot, so I'll cook that later. So I ended up, like, sometimes, like, I would just, like, I would read the recipe on the back of the box, and then I would just, like, modify it. And it, like, that started, like, very young, you know? And then also just, if I was eating something like spaghetti meatballs. I'd make sure that each meatball had like the same amount of spaghetti. Like I would basically just like create like the perfect last bite all the time. And like I started doing that when I was a kid. So um that kind of turned into, you know, like me like respecting food. Like the enjoyment of food started there. And then just growing up in a historic Filipino town, my locale like is between Koreatown, Little Tokyo, Chinatown. Just up the street is Thai Town, Little Armenia, Little Bangladesh.
That
Uh,
sounds so cool.
yeah, and then just all over is just the Latin influence, right? So
Yeah.
um so it kind of came natural for me to just think of like, well, what if, you know, we put bulgogi in a taco? Well, what if we put like this on top of fries? You know what I mean? Like like as a kid, like that's kind of how it started.
Ah.
Um, and then like as I got older, I started, you know, like messing with like recipes and stuff, and just thinking about like that concept ever since, you know, from when I was young. And you know, with the appreciation of food, it also became like a gesture to others, right? Like during like breakdance practice, I would like cook for my friends. Like 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 on some like I was like a mom at some point in my life, you know?
Aw.
And then
Friends will remember
during
that.
um and then during birthday parties, I would, you know, invite my friends over to my house, and like I would like cater my own birthday parties, you know, like in high school and like early college. So like it's always kind of been there. I never thought of it as something that I would like pursue. Um but yeah, basically, you know, talking about that fork in the road that I was met with, I was just thinking like, all right, the decision was either, you know, go to school or take a leap, right? And I just put into consideration that, you know, I still am supported by my parents. Um, and I don't have a family of my own. I'm not married. I don't have children. So if I land flat on my face and I go bankrupt or whatever, I'm not worried about tuition, right? It's just me. So like right now is the time to do it. I can always go back to school later. That's what kind of
Yeah.
like helped. Um, this is one of the factors that kind of helped me make that decision.
Yeah, that was a smart decision. I
Yeah,
realize that. Like, just it's a great time. I try to encourage my kids to start younger, to start learning how to, just make money on the side, and it's just a great way to learn life in general. So
yeah,
I think it's great. It's great timing. So I'm learning more and more people who started younger before, settling down with family and everything. You just you hit success sooner. So uh, it's great.
yeah.
So okay, so when did you open your restaurant? Because it looks like you continue to work as a nurse. I don't know how long it's been, but you had to work through COVID 2020. Did you have the restaurant too?
Yeah. So I made the leap into cooking just doing pop-ups in 2015. I did like a pop-up brunch, and then that turned into um HiFi Kitchen like 2 years, a couple years later. 2019 was like the official like opening of the restaurant. Um, so 2019,
Wow.
it was February 22nd, I believe, or February 19th, was the grand opening. And so we celebrated our 1 year anniversary, and then 2 weeks later, um, everything closed.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, so it was wild.
That is
Um,
crazy. How
yeah,
did
and
you get through it?
there's like no blueprint, right? For that. Like I was looking forward to like the next year, right? Because like now we had like 12 months under our belt of data that we can now make you know, decisions from, informed decisions from, and then everything closed. So it was like, all right, well, I guess we're still in year one. And so
Oh man.
Yeah, and there's no one like there, there's no one you could ask about what to do at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like none of the folks that I had, that I looked to as mentors didn't know what to do either.
Everyone. Everyone
Yeah.
was like, "What do we do?" Experts was
Yeah.
like, "Oh man, what do we do now?" Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, so that happened, and then um there was a conversation about me picking up more shifts at the hospital, if that made sense for myself, for my health, for my family. Um, but I just felt like I couldn't I was watching. I would come home from the restaurant and turn on the news and watch what was going on, and knowing that I had that education. I was like, dude, I can't just sit on the couch and not do anything. I hear about my colleagues getting sick and or being over ratio at the hospital, and it's just like, dude, I felt guilty in a way, just um I because I was practicing nursing, but I wasn't full time. um I was just going in, I was per diem. And so I decided all right, I'm gonna step away from the restaurant to become full time again, because at the time early in COVID we didn't know how it moved. We weren't informed, and so I was like, all right, well, I can't be at the hospital and then be serving food at the restaurant. That sounds like we're about to be on CNN for starting this crazy pandemic in historic Filipino town, I mean, cross contamination. So I was like, all right, I can't do both. So
Well,
yeah, it
and
was a weird
also,
time.
wasn't it in California, everything was shut down for a long time? Like, wasn't it required that nobody could have dine in or anything for the year?
We were able to do takeout still.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there's no dine-in or anything. So we basically took a table and we blocked the door. And so people could just order online or whatever.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
And then I guess people still came and supported. I mean, so you took a little, like, kind of a break or pause, helped out over there, and when things were insane over there at the hospitals, I could imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, I just kind of stood back and did administrative stuff, still there for the team and still making the schedule and stuff like that, right? But not being able to be there.
That must have been so stressful. Like, I would see posts about my relatives, being Filipino and everything, and some of my aunts like lost friends. They had nurse friends, and of course we were our community was heavily impacted, being a huge population in the medical field. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I'm trying not to get emotional about it right now, but it's yeah, it's amazing what you all do, and you guys make the best nurses. I just have to say, maybe I'm biased, but no, I have to appreciate the nursing staff in general. But I do, it brightens my day when I do see, Filipino nurses, especially
Yeah.
here where I'm at in a smaller town. So okay, tell me a little bit more, like when things started to get back to normal, over there, with LA being a big city, and kind of tell me more about historic, like how you came up with the name HiFi.
Mhm.
Why you chose that. It makes sense. Like it's there.
Yeah.
For Filipino town. But yeah.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, hi-fi is a portmanteau of historic Filipino town. It's combining the first two letters of each of the words. Historic Filipino town, hi-fi. I didn't come up with that portmanteau. Um, I don't know who did. So if I did, I would credit you, but I don't. But it seemed to be just kind of just a thing that people were saying and referring to. Um, but The original name of the space was called the Village Kitchen.
Oh.
And so I wanted to just pay homage. So HiFi Kitchen. And one of like the main reasons why I wanted to make sure that Hi-Fi or Historic Filipino Town was in the name of the restaurant was because there was like we had like town hall meetings about changing the name of the neighborhood.
Oh,
Um, or like changing like the code of the district to the design district. And so like I didn't know if that was going to affect also the cultural designation. And if it did, that was something that I was not a fan of. Um, to live in a historic Filipino town and just like have that like removed from you is like it's kind of
yeah.
whack. Um, and I also like realized I remember there was a time when I was like looking to like move out just into my own space. And I remember seeing postings for like houses and apartments, and the way that they would sell them was like steps away from Echo Park, South Echo Park, steps away from Koreatown, like things like that. But they would never like it was literally next door, but they would like never like say Filipino Town, and it's just like yo, like that sucks, like like it's like we weren't it's like so we weren't like marketable. You know what I mean? Like what was wrong with the neighborhood that like you couldn't just say historic Filipino town, like we're not cool enough,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And places were saying that they were referring to the area as like South Echo Park, and it's just
Wow.
like no, that's not a thing. um, and
But I think
so
it's
that
different
like
now, right?
I'm sorry.
It's different now, right? Like I feel
um
like it's more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely. I think it's more visible. We got an arch that says like historic Filipino town. So yeah, that's cool. But yeah, so I just kind of wanted to find a way that like if they did end up changing the name of the neighborhood, that there was something called historic Filipino town kitchen in the original neighborhood, just as like kind of like a middle finger to
Oh,
whoever.
like it's almost like a homage too. Like it's in honor of. I love that aspect too. Like,
Yeah, so
but thankfully they didn't change it,
they
or
didn't
at least
change it.
yeah,
Yeah, and now there's like an arch that you drive under that says "Store Filipino Town," so you can't really change it now.
yeah,
Um, just like in Chinatown, where like there's the arch and like dragons, it's very similar.
yeah.
Super cool. Yeah,
That's cool. I think that's what makes LA really cool, or even California in the heavily populated cities, is that there's the communities they're representing. Japantown, everyone knows where Japantown is in San Francisco and Chinatown. And in LA too, you have your pockets of communities. I think it's cool. I that makes just the whole area unique. That you within
yeah,
driving distance or walking distance, you can go to these different cultures and
absolutely.
experience
Yeah,
all
it's
that
my
food.
favorite thing. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's my favorite thing about LA, the diversity, and then like the culture that's birthed from that, right? Mixing getting to know others, things like that. Like their LA culture is a byproduct of like all of us like learning how to live together, influencing each
I'm
other.
Yeah. So does that mean like is that where you also feel like you got inspired for doing some kind? Is it like fusion? Is yours like a fusion of different flavors?
Yeah, so I call our cuisine Filipino-Angeleno. So
Ah.
basically just like an LA spin on like Filipino classics. Um, spin, I get it. Um, Also like just recognizing like the impact that living in LA and being inspired by all these other cultures has had on me, right? It's just a way for me to respect that. I also didn't learn how to cook in the Philippines, and what I grew up eating from my family, they were sourcing ingredients from here, right? And so like I can't say that I know how traditional Filipino food tastes, and so like I don't want to I don't want to fake that I do.
Yeah.
In a way, I'm. not even in a way, but I like by embracing that I'm serving Filipino-Angeleno food. I'm respecting the tradition. I'm respecting my immigrant parents, right, for moving here, and making this a uh, making me right, like a Filipino born in historic Filipino town. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of a shout out to all that.
Phil, I like that term. Is it something you feel like you coined, or you've heard others say? Filipino Angeleno? Is that
I you know before me, I hadn't heard anyone say it. Um,
a
I don't want to
then
say
you
that
probably
I,
can
that
coin
I
it.
came up with it. I don't want to say that I came up with it because who knows. Um, but um, but I have heard it used, and I don't know those people, so I'm sure they created it for their own circle too. So
Yeah. And it's funny when you said spin, I even realized after the fact that this is
yeah,
it looks like it's on, it's on a DJ.
it's a turntable,
Whatever for
absolutely.
those anyone who only hears the audio, because I am converting these episodes to podcasts.
Mm,
Um, yeah, this is a picture of your food on top of like those DJ. What do you call
a
those?
turntable, yeah,
Yeah, turntable. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Yeah, this
DJ,
looks amazing.
yeah.
And this
Um,
one too, the adobo chicken bowl.
Chicken
Oh,
adobo, yeah. It's funny. We
yes.
don't serve it like that anymore, but
Oh, it still
it's a
looks
really
great.
old picture. That looks like a 2019, 2018 photo. So
And
yeah.
this one is this
It's a tortang talong burger. It's an eggplant burger, and then we batter it with like egg batter. So
oh
it's just like
my
a shout out to like tortang talong.
that
And so
sounds
that's what I mean by
amazing.
like Filipino Angeleno food, taking like a veggie burger, and just kind of like reimagining it, just kind of looking at it from like a Filipino lens.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and that's like what's fun to me. That's like the creative part. That's like the artist part, right? So
Yeah, I have also like we can show a little bit about the video that I found over I think on one of your channels and just have it play. The audio might be a little faint, but might as well get people to see what it looks like.
Woo! Let's go. Step into the mind inside a scholar. The first light of my mother and father, the eldest. Daniel watching straight from heaven, though always be hell bent. Felt this with a pencil, a pen, feather, a felt tip. I got all these chopping like I'm Elvis Presley. Trust me, you can't be confession. I be inconsistent with my messages to God. Professional with Adderall without taking no actual dose. When drafting up the raps at you dose, at you dose. That mean I'm blessed twice. Cause David Ira, the cocky tribal opposite side of my coin. Flip it heads or tails, either way we destroy. If it's heads, chopping off their heads. If it's tail, run up on their tail, grab it, then we chopping off their heads, looking like Sleepy Hollow.
So is that like what at your grand opening?
it's
Did you
not.
have it was like an
We
event?
yeah. So historic Illipinos is an event that we started doing to recognize the impact that Filipinos have had on hip hop. And
Oh.
so that was our second year. So some of those dudes you might know actually like Jabberwockies, but not wearing the mask.
Oh my
um,
gosh.
yeah,
I
yeah,
only
yeah,
have
yeah.
seen some of the ones without the mask, like that are more familiar, but I most of them I don't know what they look like without them.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So some of the guys in there um, are them, or
Uh-huh.
just like any other um, like Filipino breakers that have been
Yeah.
very monumental in the development of breaking, like the dance.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
yeah, like since I have like a background in breaking, I kind of had to
Yeah.
like celebrate that. You know what I mean?
That's great. I'm glad. So then do some of them live in LA? Like you know them, you're good friends with them kind of thing?
Um, Actually, on that panel, only a couple of them lived in LA. But yeah, I grew up competing in that generation that they were also in,
Wow.
so I know them from back in the day. Some of them are like my peers, and then some of them were just like people that I looked up to. Um, and yeah, this year we're gonna have another one, our third historic Filipinos, and it's gonna be an all B girl panel. We're going to focus on um, like the B-girl aspect, the women that are, kind of paving a way for breaking right now, and especially with the Olympics coming up and breaking being the Olympics next year, I want to make
Mm.
sure that like we're putting, I want to make sure that like I'm able to connect them with the community like before they
Yeah.
get like super popular, so that when they watch them like in the Olympics, like our the little kids in our community could be like, "Yo, I met that girl." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's something
Like, I know that
that's
person.
something. Yeah, exactly. Like I met him at at HiFi Kitchen. So I think that's something that can really change like lives, like the interaction. You know what I mean? And really be inspiring. So.
There's a couple, I mean, now I know we're getting close to the end of our time, but there's a few more things I wanted to ask you about. But did you see, it was recent, right? Wasn't it a Filipino that won this international competition? It was I don't know if it was a Red Bull dance contest. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There have been a couple Red Bull qualifiers that a lot of Filipinos are winning.
Yeah.
There was just like a hip hop dance competition in Vegas, and a team from the Philippines won. So
Oh, was that
um,
the one that I saw on social? Like, I think I saw that. Like, they were a
it's
huge
possible, yeah,
group.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Were they
um,
from the Philippines or are they based in America?
I believe they're from the Philippines.
Oh my
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, hip hop's a big deal. It's just, it's almost like basketball in the Philippines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So um, yeah.
How are we
Uh,
so talented? No, I like to say we,
yeah.
but as a whole, collectively. Oh, it's so crazy. I know. And
Yeah.
yeah, before I also forget to mention, you are part of a contest now, right? Tastemade. So how did
Yeah,
that come about?
yeah. Ginza Nishikawa, they do this like really beautiful shokupan bread loaf. It's like a Japanese milk bread, and it's like $18. It's like something like it's like not cheap, but it's like delicious. And they teamed up with Tastemade to like invite chefs to be part of like a competition. And so I had to figure out how to use this bread in a dish. And the dish that I decided on was to make like a grilled cheese ensaymada, or ensaymada grilled cheese.
Ooh.
Um, that way, like you get, because the texture of the bread is like amazingly soft,
Yeah.
and sweet. And so like by like toasting both sides and leaving the inside unbothered, you really get to like enjoy like the creaminess of the bread, I feel like.
Oh my God.
Um, but yeah, sorry. Yo, I could geek out on food. So but before I do that, anyone that's watching or anyone that's tuning in, listening, um I believe the contest is just a few more days, and they're judging it by like how many comments that we get. So
This is
uh
this is the one, right?
that's the one, yeah. So if you
Yeah.
watch it, leave a comment if you like it. Um has Ruby Ibarra playing on the song,
Let's see.
so that's good.
Yeah, I think
We must. And then there's a cheese pull. You know what I mean? If we're able to win this competition, I'll serve this at the restaurant for sure. Um,
oh, so just any
yeah,
comment?
I think so. I definitely, had my
Or to say
friends
yes, please.
jump in. Yeah, exactly. That's how we do it.
And do we have a limit? Like, can we comment as often as we want?
You know what? They in terms of like the rules of voting and judging, they didn't really have a lot for me. Uh, so it kind of seemed like they're making up on the fly. No disrespect.
Yeah,
And so I don't know.
social media world.
Exactly. So,
I'll share it on my story too. Hopefully, this guy, I interviewed him.
yeah.
That's so cool. Um, is there anything you'd like to share with anyone who's considering to start their own business or just take that leap? Because it's not an easy road to take. And I'm sure your family's rooting for you. And the fact that you've survived, all these years, even through COVID, is pretty amazing. And you're still serving the community as a nurse. That's also amazing. You could have just been like, no more for me. I'm good. I'm good. I'm going to
Yeah.
jump ship. But, it's really cool. Your story is still developing, but it's really exciting to see this happen.
Yeah, I think just do what you love. Be honest with yourself. We need that. We need you to be your own piece of the puzzle. Like puzzles have like different shapes, right? And we need you to embrace whatever you like to do, and not what someone else tells you or what you think is the right thing to do. Um, Whatever you bring and whatever you're passionate about, I need you to do that, right? Because like I don't like building houses, probably, but I'm really passionate about the people that do. You know what I mean? And like vice versa, right? We fill each other's needs, right? And so just be very honest with yourself and enjoy what you like to do. If you don't like to do it anymore, that's okay too. Um, so there's that. In terms of starting a business, take your time. Maybe don't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
I did it by myself. I'm still kind of solo on it. Not kind of, but I'm still the sole owner.
Yeah.
Um, and it's very hard. I'm learning a lot about
Yeah.
myself. I'm learning a lot about boundaries and mental health and stuff like that
Hmm.
because of it.
Yeah.
Um, um, my relationships suffer. Just all kinds of friends and family. Um,
There's a lot of sacrifices for sure.
a lot of sacrifices, and sometimes you think, for me, like I've like internalized some of those. So I've had to work on that and just be like, well,
Hmm.
it's not my fault. It's things
Yeah.
like that. I don't know. There's like a
No,
lot.
yeah.
There's a lot.
No,
So
sometimes like it's hard when nobody understands, and like unless you have your own business and you get with your peers who do, that's when you get a lot of energy and positivity, and people believe that you can do it. So that's the other thing, that I try to surround myself with other entrepreneurs. That's what really keeps me going. And then to do this on your own, it feels lonely. It's a lonely path for sure. And so yeah, I've considered like, should I partner with somebody on some of these passion projects that I have at some point? Because you don't want to go on this journey alone completely, unless you're able to. Some people can do
yeah,
it,
right.
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I'm just trying to navigate through it right now. And if something comes up later on, there's an opportunity, then cool. If not, just keep writing, make sure it makes sense for myself, make sure it makes sense for my family. And yeah, don't do by
I
yourself.
totally I totally forgot you got a star in your you even had black eyed peas, it looked like. He came, how did that happen? And then
Yeah,
the
so there's a tsunami in the Philippines a couple of years back,
oh,
and we wanted to find a way to help. And Apple was also looking to figure out a way to help. And so Apple sent me his mom's recipe for chicken adobo.
oh my
And so
gosh.
yeah, and so I learned how to make it. And then we had a pop up, and we sold his mom's chicken adobo, and he was there to like meet and greet and hand it out.
That's
Um,
awesome.
this is like footage of him like teaching me. um, and
And he's part Filipino.
he is, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He was born
I
out
thought I
there.
had I
He
thought
knows how
it
to
was the
speak.
other one. Was it there are two of them? No?
No, 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 he's the only one.
I got the wrong guy. Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. And so he lives in LA. So it was like a pretty,
Yeah,
yeah.
he lives in LA. Also a former breakdancer, so, we
Yeah.
had that in common. And yeah, super cool. His mom's adobo is good. There's potatoes in it.
That's
Different.
so different. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah,
We all compare our own like mom's original Filipino cooking, or aunt and
yeah,
uncle, like
yeah,
it's different for everyone. But I feel like it's always good when it's cooked
yeah.
at home.
Yeah, absolutely. When you don't have your judging hat on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like enjoy it and like
Yeah.
know that this person like grew up eating that. Like, dude, it's like amazing experience.
And for those of you who don't know, like go to his website, HiFi-Kitchen.com, and follow him on Instagram. Definitely follow, like he's growing his following gradually. He's already had success being featured, like obviously celebrities coming to your restaurant. That's a huge success there.
Yeah.
Please support Justin. And I wish I was over there on the West Coast to just like walk over and just order a bunch of food. But yeah,
Whenever
no,
you're
thanks
around,
so
let
much.
me know.
I know, and it's funny because I used to live in South Orange County, and I never made it over to the LA area, but now I have more motivation to go there and definitely check it out. Just to be there.
We'll be
and
here,
start-
hopefully.
Don't talk like that.
Yeah. So,
And anytime you want to check out North Florida area, just let me know. Apparently, not many people know this, but Jacksonville has a Jollibee. Random, I know. Jacksonville, Florida.
y'all doing it right.
I know
for the
someone
culture.
invested there a long time ago.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, thanks everyone for watching and supporting my show, and thanks Justin again. As usual, whenever I click on this thing, it's funny. The end broadcast, because I didn't tell you earlier, it takes a few seconds, so you can hold and I'll see you on the backstage.
Got it.
Bye everyone.